in Central Texas, where we think more expansively, love more completely, and live more joyously. Yeah. And thank you to Clark for opening meditation. That was really good. Don't worry, he'll be back soon. Let's start by saying our opening affirmation on the top of page 4. And I will silence my phone now that Clark reminded us.
It's not mine.
Well, it's fine. Who? All right, that's quiet as it gets. All right, but now don't be quiet. Shout with glee. And it says, we believe that there is an infinite power and wisdom that creates everything. We are expressions of the same power and wisdom. The thoughts, beliefs, and expectations we entertain with the most energy become our experience of life. When we change our energy and our attention, our experience changes to match. All right. And there's no birthdays on the list. Anybody birthday in it?
In May? Are we talking about May?
I'm talking about this week. I mean, but you're not going to be here for another few weeks. You're welcome to come back every week. I mean, you have a birthday coming up?
May the 4th.
Be with you?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, Star Wars, rock on. And Bob, you have something in May?
Just in May, later on.
What day? What's your day?
23rd.
23rd. All right. Well, happy birthday to both of you. We're today, on this day, we're celebrating Marcus Aurelius, who's a wise dude. John James Audubon, who liked birds. Ma Rainey, the mother of the blues. I.M. Pei, who was a wonderful architect. Carol Burnett, pulling your ear. Gary Wright, who was like to weave dreams. Jet Li, who entertains me with his martial arts moves. Kevin James, and Channing Tatum. All right. So let's. Patrice is still participating in her GoFundMe campaign. So if you can help with that, certainly do. We'll get the book study coming back. The regular spiritual practice workshop was rescheduled for May 20th. It'll still be 6:30 to 8. And we'll let you know more about that as it gets closer. But let me invite Clark to come up and do an opening reading and treatment.
Thank you, Walt. Today's reading comes from the Science of Mind magazine, April 2026. The article was, or is, The Mirror of Mind. And it has a little breakout panel on one of the pages. And I just thought it was perfect, just as a little reminder learning point. When we think, God thinks through us. When we focus attention, we activate a spiritual law that takes our mental pattern and reproduces it in form. In Science of Mind, we call this the law of mental equivalence. So, a nice thing to remember. So let's take that into treatment. First, by recognizing that our thoughts begin with the presence, knowing this presence is everywhere. It expresses as all form. We are all creations of that presence, and our consciousness is part within its consciousness. And it's all-knowing, all-powerful, and we share that. We are gifted, we are graced with its substance, the Spirit's substance that always gives of itself without any action upon our part other than recognizing and receptive to it and accepting it as our reality. For it's the great unseen reality. And that reality is the real reality. For we know that all that appears before us are effects of former causes, transient, as real as they need to be, but not something we should be absorbed in. Our absorption is in our alignment, our taking on of, our assuming the mantle of our own divinity. And we do this by this recognition and by this acceptance and stating and proclaiming and announcing our divinity, our own divinity, our part in this divine role of life and love and law. And it's all working together all the time. We give it, it gives back. So let us be diligent, let us be aware, observant, neutrally so, and just grateful for this power and presence that are represented as Spirit being us. We have this this spiritual correspondence pattern that we represent here on this plane. So wonderful. So I give thanks. I give thanks for these truths, these unseen realities that we assume and align ourselves with and as. And we activate the laws, they correspond, and I know this to be true and release it now, knowing that having been spoken, this word is already responded to and demonstrating as effect in our experiences. Loving it and grateful for it all, let us say together, and so it is now. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce one of our favorites, her first time performing here with us. Let's give a big benvenuta to Julia Malanta, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here. Since you brought it up, I woke up dreaming. Just passing through with only the thoughts in my mind. A room with one view. A sad fairy tale I heard of a man who slept through his life. He woke up dreaming. Look over the edge and fly like a bird. I follow the trail I left for myself to find when I was wandering. The thrill of the night, the smell of those summer days when life was open. Look over the edge and fly like a bird. There's still enough time. Kiss my forehead, remind me of where I belong. A field of gold, the cricket will sing. Your arms will cradle me home. Let life unfold. Look over the edge and fly like a bird. Look over the edge, fly like a bird. There's still enough time.
Pretty gorgeous.
Is that a new song?
No,
New to us?
I don't know, maybe.
It has been a minute. Bump the guitar.
I'm sorry?
Bump the guitar that much.
Okay.
For next installment. All right, well, thank you, Julia. That was wonderful, as always. You can find out more about her at Julia Malanta. I finally learned how to spell your name after, so it is,
It is on the program.
it's
Spelled
correct. Okay, yeah. Well, I used to have to think it out, and now it just is, oh, it's Julia, so that's good. All right. All right. And we're back, and this morning we returned to our 4 agreements for April series with a short break in the middle to allow you all to remember to include and internalize these first 2 agreements we've covered. I agree to have a voice. We covered the first 2 agreements and get that into your awareness and into the regular living of your life, because that's when they become most applicable and powerful. Now, over the last 2 weeks, now 3 weeks, how many of you would give yourself an A grade for how you internalized and initiated those two agreements into your life? You got a half of a hand up for an A, so we'll give you an A minus. All right? Do I hear a B? A B? Okay, it's somewhat in there. A C? Look, if you're already down at a C, let's just stop. All right? Because you're already starting to break the 3rd agreement we're going to talk about before we've even brought it into the mix. You're already assuming that because they got off your radar for whatever reason, and things get off our radar, yes, they do. Because you got busy living the rest of your life, you might start thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me, I can't do this. And then from there, it's pretty easy to jump off into the ditch and extrapolate that out to many other lifelong stories that have never, are not, and will never serve you. Like any helpful idea, the best way to apply a good idea is not to run around and think of nothing else. Nothing else, just chanting it over and over and over again. Some sort of mantra. Be impeccable with my word. Don't take anything personally. Be impeccable with my word. Don't take anything personally. And so on and so forth. Now, that's a good start because repetition does get the idea a little deeper into our awareness and our consciousness than when we just hear an idea and then we nod our heads, agree with that idea, and then we affirm, oh, I already know that, right? And then never returning back to it again, never applying it. Not that I would know anything personally about that, and not that anyone enlightened enough to show up here at a place like this morning wouldn't know anything about that either. Ruiz shares, taking action over and over again strengthens your will, nurtures the seed, and establishes a solid foundation for the new habit to grow. But internalizing a new idea is about repetition, but not just mindless repetition. It's about living your life and then every once in a while stopping and reflecting upon the idea that you're considering, and then reflecting and self-assessing how close or how far your recent expressions have been from that idea and the implementation of it. And not just for another reason to beat ourselves up. We got plenty, we're pretty adept at that, we're all capable. Can I get a hell yeah on that? Yeah, we all are. Or at least if you're not, we have enough people in our life, in our environment, that are more than happy to point out each and every mistake we make. A good idea is really the purpose of it is for self-assessment, for reflection, for recalibration along the way as we continue to move forward. It's about reminding ourselves of our initial reaction to the truth in the idea that resonated with something within us, the wisdom within us when we first heard the idea, and nodded our head in agreement. Yeah, okay. be impeccable with my word. Yeah, I got that. Don't take anything personal. Yeah, I got that. So just a little micro check-in is all we ever need at any one time. Sure, there's a benefit to doing a deep dive on the retreat that we went on last week. I did a deeper dive in myself and just a self-assessment and said, okay, this is working, this is not, this could use some improvement. What the minister life needs improvement. Yes, there's plenty of room for improvement in here. Okay, but just to jump in and out now and again is beneficial in its own right. And the question we need to ask ourselves is not so much, was I 100% perfect in being impeccable with my word? It's not, would I give myself an A+ for not taking things personally? It's more about, in a moment of brief reflection over the last little bit of time, whatever that chunk is, can I see how entertaining these ideas has made a positive difference in the way I feel about myself, the way I look at the world, what my expectations are about what's next, and what I'm adding to the collective mix. If the answer to those questions is 51% yes, then rock on. Smile, reach over, pat yourself, and move on. If the answer is way less than 50%, then take that as an opportunity to be a little more intentional in the area. Okay? So this week we come to the third agreement, which Miguel Ruiz shares, is don't make assumptions. How many of you just made an assumption? Right? It happens. You know, old things hang around, and old ideas are around so prevalently because there's some level of truth or some good instruction in their repetition. One that comes to mind is when you assume you make an ass out of
You and me.
you and me. Ha ha ha. Y'all know that. But you do. And I do. And we all do. It's just the nature of it. We assume because our brains are hardwired to fill in the blanks with things and qualities and behaviors and expectations that we don't know or we can't see from where we currently are. It helps us comprehend what we don't know so that we can determine that if what is before us is beneficial to us, or it might be a threat to our survival, hence the hardwired part, okay? We want to feel safe, and one of the ways we feel safe is not dealing with uncertainty. But we tend to fill in the blanks with what we already know, with what we've experienced previously, either from this person or this type of person, or what we've heard about these type of people, right, or this group or whatever. Now, the problem with that's not helping. So the problem with that is that we don't really know. We don't really know what is absolutely true about this person or that particular interaction. Now, haven't we all had the experience of dealing with somebody more than once, and one time we have a great experience with them, and then out of the blue we have just a really odd, not nice experience with them, right? We all had that? Yeah, we all have, right? Now, was the person really different? Or was there something else going on, perhaps something else going on that we couldn't see, we didn't know about? And then once we found out, oh, they were dealing with that while they were I was trying to get them to pay attention to what was important to me. Okay, that makes sense to me now why it went kind of sideways or whatever. Now, I can't speak for anyone else, although I have some people I'd like to speak for. But I occasionally snap and lash out. It's people that know me will say, well, that's pretty rare. We never seen that. But it happens, right? Okay. You mean the minister. Yeah, I'm still a human. I have an ego. I live in close proximity with a lot of people who don't always behave or agree with what I think is right. What I've come to recognize, though, in my objectively observing myself, is that the particular incidents that triggered the snap, when I look at it, it really wasn't the source of the snap. I usually can trace many previous little annoyances that built up and built up and built up to a particular incident, and that was simply the last straw. It was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. And since that's true for us, we have to recognize that it's true for other people as well. We fill in the blanks with things that make sense to us. We do, given what we know or given what we don't know. Okay? Ruiz shares, the problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. All the sadness and drama you've lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Number 2 and number 3. Boy, if you break one agreement, taking things personally, you're going to stir the pot a little bit. You break 2 of them at the same time, taking it personally and making assumptions, you're really in for trouble. But here's the thing, and there's really no getting around it. There's no getting around this voice either. The good news is that since you are in trouble of your own making, yay, then you are the perfect person to solve said trouble. You know better than anyone how to dismantle and how to deconstruct it because you were involved in every step along the way in the constructing of whatever is going on, okay? Once you realize that, it's empowering. Once you realize that, it's liberating. Once you realize that, it's reassuring because now I know where to look for resolution and revision. And we turn assumptions into truth. That is the truth. And then we feel compelled to share that opinion about other people with anybody and everybody that we can corner for 15 seconds. That's gossiping. And ego just loves gossip. Maybe I should just sing. Maybe that's the answer. Because it's usually demeaning to the person that's being described, right? Did you know that Donna, sitting right here in the front row, is a wonderful person? But having it be something salacious and different and demeaning to the person elevates our ego. That's why we do it. That's why we're attracted to it. And it puffs it up for a moment or 17. But that ascension is short-lived. Because even if we think we know, there's still that little part of us that just suspects that maybe we didn't get it right. That doubts the veracity of the claim. Because we realize that we're describing another person's life that we have this much information about as if we know everything about what's going on with them. That's from our point of view, and it's always going to be limited. Just as we wonder why people don't get us, because they're not living our lives, man. They're not. He goes on, he says, we only see what we want to see, and we only hear what we want to hear. La, 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 I can't hear you. Okay? We long to be right. Ego longs to be right. And then we long on the other side of that coin is then we get to make other people wrong. And so we fill in the blanks, we make assumptions, and we feed our confirmation bias. Now, I notice, and I trust that I am alone in this noticing, in this tendency, I notice that my criticisms of others, especially on Mopac, it seems to be the place where this happened, have more to do with my criticisms of myself, right? What I'm self-conscious of and what my ego is deflecting attention away from so I can momentarily feel better, so I can momentarily feel superior. And they call that projecting, projecting. But again, that ascension is fleeting at best because it comes and it goes. He goes on, he says, it is not important that the answer is correct, just the answer itself makes us feel safe. So when somebody tells me something, I correlate that to what I know about them and what I believe to be true about life and try and find some kind of balance in there. When somebody doesn't tell me something, I correlate that with what I know about them and what I believe to be true about life. Because we're meaning-making machines, and we don't stop. And we don't stop. And we don't stop. Sure shot. Go out to the parking lot. I said, don't stop. Pull punk rock. Yeah. Any any blondies out there? Okay. Now, growing up, one of the things my mother taught me, among many, love her, but she taught me some things. It's rude to ask questions of other people. Really? No, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Okay? It caused me a lot of problems, still causes me problems because I got it early on, right? The way to peacefully coexist with 8 billion other people is to ask questions, to get curious and be open to alternative ideas, that's all. And develop and live from the paradigm that just because somebody has a difference of opinion or difference of perspective, it doesn't disqualify them from the human race. This is a big one, and I observe it in our political interactions with each other, like on steroids, on 14 on a scale of 10, right? Assumptions and taking things personally, all running amok all over the place. He goes on, he shares, when we believe something, we assume we are right about it to the point that we will destroy relationships to defend our position. We will defend our need to be right, or defend our position to the point of ridiculousness, really. Again, ego at play. Dr. Holmes knew a thing or two about assumptions, and he says, we may assume that spiritual man is already a success, is already supplied with everything he needs. The potential of all things exists in the universal wholeness. Everything we need, everything we will ever need, already exists. We just got to put ourselves in proximity and trajectory in relationship to it. Last week while I was out of town, a good friend of mine, Dan, called me to check on me. And he told me, man, I read your writing, your weekly writing every Friday, man. And as soon as I wake up, that's one of the first things I did, because he's on the West Coast, so it's usually out by the time he gets up. But he said he read last week's writing, and he thought, that's good, that's insightful. That ain't Walt. That's not Walt. And he noticed that it was Clark's writing. And he immediately assumed that something was wrong with me. I might have had a health challenge or something, right? So he calls. I appreciate the caring. I told him, dude, I'm physically fine. There's nothing else going on. Actually, I'm quite enjoying being out on this big ranch in West Texas, doing absolutely nothing, and watching the deer and the antelope play and the 6-foot earth snake that we saw fortunately it was on the last day. After we traipsed all over the property, didn't see anything, you know. But anyway, and I was relaxing quite comfortably. And I said, dude, if you're going to assume something about me, do me the favor and assume that I won the lottery and I'm traipsing around France or some other wonderful thing, right? Instead of something being wrong, right? And he goes, okay, I get it. Because we're always at choice. A few of you will remember Doris Evans, somebody that was with us for many years in the beginning. Doris also shared with me that she always found herself worrying about her son, who lived in L.A., that would ride his motorcycle to come visit her in Austin. And she would concoct the worst case scenarios to end all worst case scenarios of the most horrible, scary things happening to him. And then one night after class, she was smiling from ear to ear. I said, whoa, okay, Doris, what's up? She said, I have just decided that instead I'm going to always envision him with the wind in his hair, a smile on his face, enjoying the scenery and the energy of moving through the wind at that speed. Right? Two examples of assumptions that we make, and the moment we realize that we're at choice in the process. Dr. Holmes goes on, he shares, a spiritual mind treatment is a series of statements logically presented based on the assumption of perfect God perfect man, perfect being. Okay? Look, we're going to make assumptions. It's just the way our brain is wired. But the quality of those assumptions is always up to our choosing. As Melanie taught us so many times and so wisely shared with us, talking to us about our first thought, right? Don't beat yourself up for your first thought, right? I want to invite you to notice your first assumptions you make about people or situation. How much is the ego really trying to shift away attention from something we may need to really deal with on a personal level? Ruiz shares, we make the assumption that everyone sees life the way we do. Why? Because I'm right, and I'm smart, and I know what's good for everybody in the whole planet. Right? It's true, I do. It's true. But he goes on, he says, real love is accepting other people the way they are without trying to change them. So asking questions and gaining clarity is not just for the purpose of confirming what we assume to be true. And a lot of our questions, if you pay attention to yourself, I mean, I pay attention to myself, or I try to, I notice that my questions are leading to get to where I think it, to confirm what it is I believe. But gaining clarity and asking questions and being genuinely present and curious with somebody else honors that other person or the other people by allowing them to be who they really are. Because it's going to be who they end up being anyway, and we're going to end up being who we are anyway. And what that does is it provides a safe space. What that does is it allows and appreciates our differences. And what that does is it honors that in the infinite universe there are thousands upon thousands of ways to see and interpret and interact with each other beyond what we see as possible and beyond what we believe is the right way. Because if you look at our history, even our recent history, but our history in general, don't forget that the right way, what was right in the past, allowed for some pretty despicable things to go on. But we grow beyond limited beliefs by repeated exposure to expansive ideas and beliefs. Asking and providing space for others helps us to feel empowered to speak up, and ask for what we want. By verbalizing our intention, we gain clarity and we gain momentum and we gain empowerment to move from this to that, from here to there, from now to then. And we gain the clarity. It's easier for those around us to say, hey, I understand where you're coming from. I like that idea. Let's get together and make that happen. Right? Ruiz shares, without making assumptions, your word becomes impeccable. Rule number one, or not rule, agreement number one. So yeah, we're covering these agreements one per week for simplicity, but they intertwine with each other the more deeper we get into them. And they weave a tapestry of greater living that benefits us individually and benefits all of us collectively. And so it is now. All right, thank you very much. Let's look at our weekly affirmation, which is on the top of page 6 in your programs, and it's on the little card by the front door as you leave. And let's say this together to get together in consciousness. And it says, I will always fill in the blanks and assign meaning to people, places, and experiences. I intentionally assume the best and notice how inspiring and empowering I feel. This leads me to the people, opportunities, and resources right where I am and where I go. All right. So let's take a moment and give ourselves the gift of our good attention. Maybe take a deep breath or two, or close your eyes, or reposition your physical form. And just allow yourself to be. to be exactly as you are, where you are, how you are in this moment is perfect, because you are truly perfect, whole, complete, and dynamic, just as you are, with everything that's happened before and everything that happens after, in each moment, and particularly in this moment. We are a little bit more aware, a little bit more open, a little bit more accepting of what is, of who is, and how it all is putting together, because it's all the effect of a previous cause. If we like what's going on, we just keep recreating versions of that cause. If we want to change or alter or adjust or replace, we start to replace and alter a new cause. So we realize that in our interactions with people, whether it's personal or whether it's from a distance, and a lot of our interactions and things we talk about, and I hear people go on and on about, are about people they've never met and never will meet. But we give up that energy to our assumptions about other people, what they do, what that means, what else is possible. And that's good for reference. It's good for example of what to grow beyond. But it's still, we're just filling in the blanks and assigning meaning to things that we don't really have the full picture or full information about. So we assign meaning and make us fill in the blanks for people and places and experiences. But we are always at choice, and we can intentionally assume the absolute best about others. We can assume the absolute best about ourselves as well. And that allows us to feel more inspired, more empowered, and to bring the best and the best expectations, the best possibilities and opportunities to the forefront of our attention, the forefront of our conversations, the forefront of our interactions with each other. Lifting up into good ideas leads us to find the best people, the best opportunities, and the best resources right where we are and right wherever we will go from here. So we love this wonderful teaching in all the ways it shows up in our lives and reminds us of the great spiritual principles and laws that are always at work in our life, in everyone's life, in all of life, and how we may direct those intentionally, how we do direct those intentionally through what we're paying attention to and where we're giving our energy. As we observe that, we can be more intentional with it, more purposeful, more definite, more dynamic with it, and make a better experience for ourselves, and by default make a better experience for everyone around us. We love this wonderful community of like-minded individuals that love and support each other in all the ways we get to do that throughout the week. And we love this beautiful life and this beautiful time together this morning, this beautiful city, and this time to meet together this morning, this wonderful space to meet in this morning. And we appreciate it all as we gratefully and joyfully celebrate the good changes that have started, good changes that continue as we move on from here with these ideas, implementing these ideas in our personal lives. As we do this, we release this completely, knowing that the law of cause and effect is already reflecting this back to us. The quantum field is adjusting to match what we're in our intention. However we describe it, it's the same thing. Loving it all, we release it completely with joy and celebration. We say together, and so it is now. All right. And now we come to the point of our time together where we get to celebrate the good work we're doing here together and support it with the good that we bring to our life through the good that we share with the world around us. As we do that, let's say our giving affirmation in the middle of page 6, and it says, divine love consecrates my gifts. They go forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper. They are evidence of my commitment. They do their good and perfect work and return to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is now. Okay, so now maybe my voice will start working after I'm done. That's good. Now Julie's going to come back up and do a couple of more songs. Are you playing anywhere?
I will be at the New World Deli on May 6th as a birthday show. The New World Deli is on Guadalupe and 41st. They have good sandwiches and soups, so it's a fun hang. If you don't have anything else to do, come see me. I'll be with Matt Giles, guitar player.
Okay.
And yeah, then I have another couple of things in town, and then flying across the pond.
Going home? Yeah.
Well, to my other home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has homes all over
For
the
the,
world. That's good.
no, I only have two.
That's fine. Yeah, that's good. It's good to have more than one. And are you going to be over there when Terry's over there? Or
No, she's
sh-
there
pretty soon? Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
She mentioned that, but she didn't say the exact dates. So I'm not sure. Well, I know that most of my songs are new to you, no matter what, but this is a song that's new to me as well. I just wrote it. I wrote it about someone who is no longer in my life, and then I realized that this song can be about any type of relationship in my life. It could be about my relationship with my God or goddesses or goddess of my understanding. And it's also about, well, the ego getting in the way while spirit wants to connect. The brain sometimes doesn't. So it's called Empty and Full. My veins are tangled up with yours. My path leads me back to you. No matter the detours, there's a tide that binds us, stronger than iron and flame. As I stay up till dawn, calling out your name, I feel empty and full. My heart is empty and full. Our spirits float at night, tenderly hold. The answers we'll never understand. I feel empty and full. My heart is empty and full. Empty and full. Show me how you forgive, how you forget the wounds that bleed and all of the regrets. I feel empty and full. My heart is empty and full. I feel empty and full. My heart is empty and full. Empty and full. Thank you. All right. I know this is one of Glenda's favorite. She's not here, but it's called I Dance My Way. And it's about not accepting advice from anyone. That's that's something that my Aunt Maria told me when I was 8. She said, I don't accept anyone's advice because I can make mistakes on my own. Because people make assumptions, right? And then they give you advice and they're wrong. So I might as well dance my way. It might be wrong, but at least it's mine. I woke up alone in the middle of the night. Full moon through my window, flipped to the cold side of my pillow. I tossed and I turned, I wasn't feeling right. Stubborn rhythm in the back of my mind. Been chasing my dreams like a dog chases a bone. Stumbled down the dark hall, banged my head against the brick wall. Stars and birds spun around my head, my feet begin to slide. I wanna dance my way, I dance my way, no one can take that away. It's my time to play, that's why I dance, I dance, I dance my way. Ostinato chorus, the rubato verse, the pizzicato strings, and all the joy they bring. It moves through my body, from my toes to my lips, and back out into the universe. I wanna dance my way, I dance my way, no one can take that away. It's my time to play, that's why I dance, I dance, I dance my way. Been told too many times I should dance and sing in rhyme, but this is my chance to do my own dance. I don't care if it's right, it may as well be wrong, but it's mine and mine alone. I wanna dance my way, I dance my way, no one can take that away. It's my time to play, that's why I dance, I dance, I dance my way. I wanna dance my way, I dance my way, no one can take that away. It's my time to play, that's why I dance, I dance, I dance my way.
All right. Thank you, Julia. If you're open, maybe next time you come visit us, I could do a talk based on those lyrics. If you're open to poetic license interpretation, I'll tell you what you really mean by what you wrote.
I would love it.
Okay.
Most of the songs are not mine. You know.
I
Once you write it, it's out in the world.
I
and
understand.
People can do whatever they want with them.
I can't remember somebody, I was doing that for somebody else, and the guy said, yeah, I always want people to tell me what I was thinking about while I was writing this. I saw, there's a very, very famous jazz drummer named Tony Williams who played with Miles and many other people, but I found a quote that he said, if I could tell you what I was thinking, I wouldn't have to play drums. You know, so they're pretty good, which I can. All right, and now we come to moments of gratitude and application of these principles. I am grateful that tomorrow night at the Elephant we'll be with 18 of my dear friends crammed onto that little stage to perform from 7 to 9. So if you're around or whatever, come down and check that out. And I'm grateful that I miss all of y'all when I'm gone, but I need a break every once in a while. But being out in the wide open spaces on 140 acres with a river with flowing water, and I got a video of like a herd of 24 axis deer, like coming down to get their drink for the day. They come down to happy hour, I guess is what it is. So there's that. And then, just being out and being able to stomp around on ground and just adventure, and lots of quiet, lots of dark. When it's dark, it's dark. There's no city lights or anything, no light pollution. But we didn't get to see the comet, so I was kind of hoping we'd be able to see that, but no such. But anyway, anybody else have something to share that you're grateful for, or you lined up? Yeah, Donna?
Well, my brother this week, who is 73, is going to have the same surgery you did. And
I like to keep mine.
I
Is it-
have it.
Okay.
He will have his own.
He'll have his own.
And, we don't see eye to eye on a few things. But when it comes to his health, I'm very, protective of him, and, I want to be there with him. Today I've been noticing how many assumptions I have about him.
Yeah.
Especially around his health, that he has not taken care of himself, whether it be drinking or smoking, and I can't even tell you how many cancers he's had, and lots of other things that are going on that he's suffered with for, I don't know, a long time. And so I'm really gonna look at that assumption that I have of him, that, he could have done it differently.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Well,
for
Bob
that.
told you about that last week.
He did, and I did get that too, so I'm gonna put it all together and be grateful for him in my life.
Okay, good.
My only brother.
Yep, no, that's good. And I'm happy to talk to him about my experience if it would be
Oh,
helpful to him of kind of what I experienced, and then that, because they tell you things and then it's like, till you're going through it, it's different,
oh, that's great, thank
Yeah,
you.
you'd be happy. I've done that with a couple of my friends and it's like, okay, they're gonna do this, and then when you get out, these are milestones that you wanna work on and stuff.
Okay.
And he can take it or leave it, or,
I'll let you know
but
today.
happy to help. And special thank you to, yay God for your brother's health. And one thing I tell people, it's like amazing that we're monitored so well that we can know something needs to be done, that in previous, not 30, 40 years ago, you would just fall over, that'd be it. But thank you to Bob for speaking last week. And Clark, you had something?
Yeah, it's about the dogs, where I usually go. But one of our 4 dogs has a history of being rather unpredictable and territorial and that kind of thing. And she has attacked some of the other dogs when they get too close or bunched up, or that kind of thing. So my assumption is that she will continue that pattern, right? Well, the new one we have, if they got in a fight, the new one would probably destroy her. I don't know if they know this between them, because they're not acting aggressive at all. And that's my gratitude, is that despite my fear that they will be hurt, and if they get too close. Yesterday they were out in the front yard and they were kind of running together, and when they saw a squirrel, they'd both go to the tree at the same time, which I started walking that way, because in that agitated state, something could happen, you know, and that's my assumption that something could happen, not that it will, but that it could. And I was immediately proven that that was not even necessary, you know, and that was a relief.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that I didn't have to hold on to that thought, that I can see them as being more compatible as time goes on. We still try to separate where we can. You know, resources like food and stuff like that are always a target, you know, area. So anyway, we know what to do, and we know how to proceed, and we know how to do it with love, and not to be too, you know, demanding of them or you know, disciplining, you know, that kind of thing in any kind of negative way. You don't have to do anything like that, you know. So it's peace for both them and us, and we're very grateful that we have made the right decisions, the right preparations. We were guided to all this. All this is given to us for reasons we may not be aware of, but to imgage in this love, you know, and to provide a place for something that needed it, and improve that life. So all of this has been just a joy, and I'm very grateful for Josephine, you know, because she kind of instigates some of this adoption stuff, you know, and I'm a little resistant at first because you know, a lot of that falls to me, and you know, I mean, a lot of it, and she does a lot too. I'm not belittling anything. I'm just saying that it's a change for everybody, but it's a change for the dog, and that's what really matters in our hearts, you know. So, yay God for these developments and how it's progressing and growing together.
Cool. All right. Well, you got for that. All right. Anybody else? Yes, Leah?
So speaking of dogs,
Of course.
so I have a rescue dog, and I got him when he was almost 4, and I've had him 4 years, so 8 years old now. And I didn't realize he was going to be so active. I didn't know that he wanted to play every day, and he needs exercise, and he needs to walk, and all this kind of stuff. And so it's like I was so aware of, like, oh, this dog is, oh my goodness, you know. But then I've been going through some heavy-duty stuff, and my little dog, when I pick him up and I want to hug him and cuddle with him, he wants to get down and go play. And but the other day, he sat in my lap and he let me hold him and squeeze him and pet him for I don't know how long, because he could sense something was going on. And I thought, well, bless him, that's a good puppy. And I didn't know he could do that. But it really was great for me. You know, a little fuzzy and he's soft, and it was cuddly. Yes, so I'm really grateful for that moment.
Cool.
My dog.
All right.
All right, cool. All right, let's look at the moments or opportunities for application in your life. Notice how often you make assumptions. What else may be possible? How much do you really know for certain? There are a lot more possibilities in all directions than we initially see. All right, next week we'll conclude the 4 agreements for April with always do your best. And anyway, well, we got 1 minute. I'll add. You brought up something that I was going to put in the talk that I didn't, or forgot, because there was a lot of things. But part of our suffering, he talks about it, is like the Buddhists teach. It's like we are attached to a specific outcome happening a certain way, and so that causes consternation, and it's all over. It weaves all in and out of ourselves. But it's something I've been watching with myself, and it's like, how much of my I have expectations of how something should be or how I want it or blah, blah, blah. But then you don't express it. You don't tell anybody, and it's just supposed to magically show up. And it's like, how much of that is really unnecessary? You know, it's self-inflicted kind of thing. And the other thing is assuming, to your point with your brother, how much time, you know, I'll get around to that. It's like, well, do you have time? Well, the question is, will you have time? You know, you've got the time, we've got the time we've got, and so just allowing that. But anyway, we'll talk about always doing your best, and our musician is Jimmy Joe Natoli. And we'll do more. Let's look at our closing affirmation on the middle of page 7 and read this together. It says, I am an expression of infinite divine creative intelligence. Knowing a joyful serenity awaits my recognition and acceptance, I take this moment to deepen my understanding that I am perfect, whole, complete, and dynamic. My soul is forever established in life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, and joy. I lift my eyes to the divine in me, in those around me, and in all of life. I walk out into the world with an uplifted heart and a mind open to the infinite creativity of all life. And so it is now. All right, thank you very, very much for being here. We will see you next time.